Alright, chat. This is gonna be how to do model swapping modding for Puck using um, the Avalonia Unreal Asset Bundle Extractor. This thing using Unity, using Blender, and that might be it. So, first step, or I guess this is what we'll be able to do. So here I modded the stick model to have a slot, and it works on like all the different designs. It doesn't map super well for like the wood one, but it's there. So what we are going to try to do, as a funny thing, is put little ears on the helmet. So the first thing we got to do. Oh, the other. Yeah. So the other thing we're going to use is the asset ripper. I've already done this part, but I will show you this. So this program lets you like extract all the assets from the game. Um, you can pull textures with Avalonia, but the you would just download it here, um, get the Windows version, run it, follow their instructions, and then what that gives you afterward is you would have a full folder of all the assets in the game. So you have like all the textures, but you also have uh, all of the meshes. Let me make sure my audio is recording so I'm not wasting my time. Test, yes, okay. So I'm going to take the helmet and I'm going to come into Blender and I'm going to make a new file in here. I did not mean to make a 2D animation. Okay. So this is fresh Blender. What we're gonna do is delete the existing light and camera and cube. We don't need anything in here. And then we're gonna take that helmet mesh that we extracted using Asset Ripper and we're just gonna drop it into Blender. Default settings are fine. We're gonna import it. It's gonna be on its side because it is just kind of funky, but we'll leave it how it is there. First thing we're gonna do, it imports with the mesh parented to an empty. We aren't gonna need the empty later, so I'm gonna rename the empty to helmet parent and then the submesh to helmet. Because this helmet is actually what's gonna get exported later, and the naming you have to be like really particular with it. So now we have our helmet model. Now there's a step of we just need to modify the mesh. So I'm just gonna quickly jump into edit mode, add a cube. I'm gonna go fast here because this is not supposed to be a Blender tutorial, just a doing all the other stuff tutorial. And it's been a minute since I've used Blender, so let's just throw some stuff down. It's kind of shitty, but let's pull in a reference. Let's grab this image, and my downloads folder is fine. Oh, I've already downloaded it. So let's pull this in here, or not. How do I do that? Downloads. Refresh. Into Blender, please. Okay, how do I do that? Add image, reference, downloads, demodified. This one. Okay, now I have that, so I'm gonna shrink it down and move it up into place so that it matches about where we would want that on the helmet. And then now I can go back into editing the helmet mesh and let me grab that whole thing and move it over a bit. Let's add a cut here and add maybe 2 there. And let's just shift over these vertices so that they align better. And let's check our progress. We also probably want them to kind of like proportionally get smaller. I'm going to separate this so that I can just edit this without editing the other thing. And then I'm going to select these top vertices at the end, turn on proportional editing, scale them. Where's the circle? Scale them down. That's pretty good. Let me move this away so I can see better. Yeah, I think that works. These two need to come down a bit. Turn off proportional editing. Move them in so that they are intersecting that geometry. And that looks good. So now I need one on the other side. So I'm gonna add a mirror modifier. And there we go. And then this is pretty much done for the modeling side. So I'm gonna apply that. And then I'm gonna combine these 2 meshes again. I'm gonna join them. So now they're back, still named helmet. Now we need to make sure the UVs line up still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new texture in here that's 1024 by 1024, and it's going to be its color grid so that I can see this. And then I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to turn on UV live unwrap, and I'm going to click this arrow button. So then when I select stuff over here, it selects on the left side too. You can see stuff becoming orange. So I'm going to select everything, and the helmet right now in the game is all just black. So it is okay. Like, we're not trying to put any crazy textures on this. So I'm just going to unwrap it, and I think it will just be fine if it's just all black right there. So what we could theoretically do, I don't know how to do that easily, but if you're trying to do something like my stick earlier, you would want to unwrap your new geometry correctly and like put it in where you would want. So like when I made the seam, I needed to put it like on the stick blade so it looks correct there. So we have this. This is basically done with the modeling piece. We have ears on there. They look okay, whatever. So now what we can do is we're going to, I would save, if I mean, I guess I'll save puck, helmet, cat ears. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our helmet, we're going to file, export FBX. If you had scaled it at all, which I would not recommend it, you would want to object apply all transforms, and we're going to probably have to come back and do that in a minute. But we're going to export it FBX. We're going to go to, I'm just going to put it in my folder here that I've been using for modding stuff. I'm going to limit it to selected objects only so that it only exports this one helmet mesh and not anything else in the scene. We're going to export that. So now the next step is we need to prepare our model to be imported into our like asset bundles. But let me show you something. So if I went into my puck folder, which is in here, and I opened like shared asset 0, and I went and found that mesh for the helmet, we can edit data, and this is theoretically all of the like vertice data and UV data for that model. And it but we can't just like import a like the FPX file. We have to import specifically like a Unity formatted file. So what we have to do, which is kind of a shitty process, is we have to download the Unity editor and we want to get a version that matches the game. So right now this 41F1 6000 version is pretty close to what the game uses. Let me double check what the game uses. I have it written down over here. My Discord's not loading. Or 6039 F1, so pretty close to this, and these are close enough. So I have a project open with this version over here. You can ignore all the other things in the scene, they don't matter. All we need to do here is take that mesh we just exported, which is where did it go? I need to refresh. Yeah, puck, helmet, cat ears. We're gonna put that into here. We're gonna put it into the scene. So now, I hate this control scheme. If we, I can't move forward. This little thing right here is the helmet, and so we have it in the scene. I need to make sure that it is named properly. So I'm gonna change it from helmet, cat ears to just helmet. I'm gonna rename it over here as well. And that is good to go. So now we are going to file build profiles, and we are going to build our project. I have it in this build 2 folder. We have to save to export, and then we just wait a second for it to go. And so what this is doing is taking our assets in our game and packaging them into the Unity format, which will make the same kind of like shared assets files that we have edited. You might have edited Puck already for to change textures or something like that, or materials. So here our build is done. So now what we can do, this one is the game that the Puck. So we're going to open another Avalonia, and we're going to open this build folder. So then I'm going to go into that builds data folder, which has the shared assets. I'm going to open shared assets 0 because there's only that one here. I'm going to open that. And so now this is all the assets that are in this game project that I just exported. We only need meshes, so we're going to deselect everything out of the filter, turn on mesh only. And now we can sort it by name and find helmet. And it's right here. So now we can export this as a dump, which is basically taking that mesh and turning it into a text file. I'm going to just put it into the project folder, that's fine. It doesn't matter what it's named. We save that. Then if I come into here, we can see this is here. So this left notepad is the one we just took out of my game. This is the customized one. And now if we get the helmet in the right one, which is the Puck game files, and we export that dump, and we'll put it in the same place, but we're going to note this one is 510. So then, I don't know why that is sitting on top. We're going to open the 510 and put it on the right, and we're going to compare these. So it's very important that we be very, very particular about naming and making sure things match up. So we're going to double check that our left one, which is the one we're going to import, has the same name as the right one. If it doesn't have the same name, then the game will not know where the fuck the helmet went, because we just renamed it to something else and it has no clue. So that lines up. We're going to come back to this in a second, and we're going to go down to the bottom here and double check this. So this at the bottom the stream data is saying we also have some part of the mesh that is important in this file. Um, because there's other meshes and stuff within Puck that refers to this file, we can't just straight up replace it. What we're going to do is we're going to change the one we're importing to target a different thing. So we're going to call this like cat helmet dot assets dot res s, and we're going to save this left one. And then what we're going to do is in our exported build, the shared asset 0.assets.resx, we're going to copy that file. My file system has been slow as shit lately, but here we are. We're going to rename it, so we're going to remove that copy thing, and we're going to rename it to whatever we just put down here. So cat helmet assets res s. I didn't want you to do that. Rename. So now we have that renamed. And so now what we can do, we have fixed that path, and we have checked that name's good. One thing we're also going to look at really closely real quick, and we're going to come back and do some iterations on this, is the center and the extent. So if these numbers are off with the center, it might get positioned weird, and then the extent shows you like how big the item is, and so you can see like there's a 239 here and a 239 here, but they're like 100 times smaller than it should be. So what we're gonna have to do in a second, we're gonna test it in the game first, but what we're gonna have to do in a second is size up our model in Blender 100 times to match these values, and then you can also see the 19.5 here is on the X, with the 19.5-ish is on the Y here. So we're also going to have to do some rotation on our model to make it line up, because it got rotated weirdly along the way, taking it from the game, exporting it back into Blender and out of Blender, so the rotation got all messed up. So let me close my Puck so we can modify it. And then in the game asset Avalonia thingy, we're going to import dump. We're going to import the left notepad thing here. So this is 24. We're going to import 24. And we can see the asterisk there for modified. We're going to file save. And then we need to make sure that we also move our renamed assets.resx that has the rest of the mesh data. We got to copy that, and we have to put it into somewhere around here. This one. We put it into our Puck folder, Puck data, and we put it next to the other assets files in here. So we paste this in. Now we have cat helmet.assets.ress. And so now we can open the game and test our first iteration here. If you don't have your game with BepInEx installed, you won't see that like pop-up thing. But here we go. The game loaded. We are bald, and that is kind of expected because our model, as indicated by here, our model is way smaller than it should be. Like it's a little speck of sand or something, and it's probably sitting in the middle of his head because it isn't around at all. So first thing we need to do is compare these numbers. It looks like it's about 100 times smaller than it should be. So what we're going to do is go into Blender. We're going to take our model. We're going to press S for scale and 100 to scale it up 100 times. So now we can see on our scale XYZ over here, it's 100. We can also do it over here. We type 1, 1, 1, or put those at 100. Very important piece. You need to click Object, Apply, All Transforms. And if you don't do that, your scaling will not be affecting the game at all, and it won't change anything in the process. So after we had clicked Apply All Transforms, then we can see here Now our scale is at 111. This is like the true size, and if we scaled it here, then it starts changing that scale value again. So now we basically got to repeat the whole process again. So we'll save, we'll file, export FBX, moment to selected objects, export. Then we go into Unity, we delete the helmet. Where is it? Right here. We delete the helmet from the imported files in the game. We grab the one we just exported again. We drag that into the game, drag it into the scene so it is actually in the game. And now we can see it is really fucking big, matching all of our other things that I have in here. We make sure we rename it so that it is called helmet. And then now we are ready to export the game again. I'm going to show you something you might run into. So I'm going to click build and select my folder. And I'm going to save. And it's going to start building. But if you look down in the bottom left here, build completed with a result of failed in 5 seconds. This, if we click on that, it'll tell you this process cannot access the file because it's being used by another process. This failed because I have Avalonia open, and it is like open looking at the game files of the build, like right here. So we need to close Avalonia, and we have to close both windows of it, otherwise it will not work. So now that I've closed the one that was targeting those game files, now we can build again, and it will work this time. And now it is done. So now we can open Avalonia again. We can reopen the shared assets of that temporary game build we have. We can filter back to mesh. And we can sort by name to get our helmet. We can re-export that dump. We can overwrite the old file. And then now we can compare our text files again. So here's our custom one. And here is the one in the game right now. That name lines up. Our size looks a lot better if I bring these closer. We still are going to have a rotation problem, but we'll fix that next. So we can see like this Y value is currently on Z but needs to be on X. This 17 doesn't line up with the 25 because we made the mesh taller than normal by having, or maybe wider, one of those two. I think it's wider than normal because of the ears. So if you have modified it like that, where it's bigger or smaller than it used to be, then you'll have some of those numbers will be off, but they're in the same ballpark now. And then we'll also go back down to the bottom, and we need to make sure that we change this to cat helmet and save that. There is a chance when you're doing this that you don't have this stream data thing at the bottom, and if that's the case, then that means that all of your mesh data is inside the file and you don't need to move that file over or do any of that part of it. But here we do have that. Let me go ahead and demonstrate what will happen and what to expect if you miss this step. So I'm going to import the text file and replace the helmet, but I'm not going to move this assets.res s over real quick just to show you what will happen. So let's go ahead and open the game, which is right here. I think it'll bug. We'll see. Nope, it did not bug. But it didn't modify our helmet because I didn't move that file over. So let's actually, I think if I delete the file, then I can get it to bug. So let me show you this real quick. This is an error you might run into. Nope, okay, I can't recreate it. If you get like weird glitchy, like across your whole screen textures, then you might have an issue where you didn't rename this and move it over. Let's go ahead and copy this file. Wait for my file system to be slow as shit. Rename it to cat helmet. It's not gonna let me because this one already exists. So let's delete that. Fix the rename. Copy it. Place it in our puck folder. Paste it in there. Okay, and now it's in there, and we already did the replace the dump side, so let's open the game back up. What we're gonna expect is the helmet is sized correctly, but it's sideways, and that is the case. So it looks like it's rotated across the front of the helmet 90 degrees wrong. So theoretically, we take, let's match up our camera angle here. So we want to rotate it on the red line 90 degrees up, and that should fix it. So now we repeat the whole process again to bring it all over. So we've modified the rotation. We can see the values here are not 1. I'm going to put that on Euler because it's a lot easier. We see it's negative 90. I just said Euler. I think it's like Euler or something weird. We're going to object apply all transforms to make sure that is kind of the new default state. We're going to save. We're going to export FBX selected objects only. Export. We're going to come into Unity. We're going to delete the helmet that exists in there. Delete the helmet that exists in the game world. We're going to import our custom mesh into the game, import it into the scene, rename it. We're going to close Avalonia so that it can build properly. We're going to build the game, select the build folder, save our Unity project. I'm going to preemptively, maybe not, I'm lagging. Okay. We're going to delete the cat helmet file because we're going to have to overwrite that. And then we're going to reopen Avalonia, open our custom games, shared assets, filter to the meshes again, find the helmet, export that, overwrite it. Then we're going to modify it in here, and we'll cross-reference it with this one. So now the extents still don't quite look right. We have it right on the Y, but we might have an issue rotationally still somehow. But let's go down and change this to cat helmet, save it. We'll import our new dump into the game, not that one. Save that, and then we'll take shared assets, copy it, and wait for the copy to show up. Rename the copy to cat helmet. Copy it out of our custom game and put it in the puck folder. We have to close puck to be able to, I'm not sure how I had it open. Paste it in here, and then now we can launch the game, and it should be at least on top of the head, but might be facing the wrong way. Nope, looks right, I think. Yeah, I think that looks right. So now we can just like jump into here and go up to this player, and we can already see they've got some ears now. Nice cat ears. And we'll post that screenshot just for funny. And now we have successfully modded cat ears into Puck by changing the model. So if you're gonna distribute this to somebody, you'd need to give them that assets.res file, and you'd also need to give them the text file that we modified so that they can import it into their mesh as well. I'm gonna disconnect from this game. But that is how you do some model swapping in using Asset Ripper, Unreal Asset Bundle Extractor, Avalonia, Unity, Blender. I think that's it. If you have any questions about this process or you run into any problems, post in the Puck modding Discord. One thing that you might run into, and I haven't quite figured it out yet as of recording this video, is I think it's in let me open this. I think it's in maybe one of these. Oh no, it's in, sorry, it's in level 2. The meshes in here are like this. This is the level that you see when you're actually playing the game, like this level. So all of the world meshes that make up the level, besides the players and the puck that actually like move, and the spectators, are in these combined root scene meshes, and I do not know how to properly modify these yet. I could not get that to work properly. It's just getting some weird glitchy stuff. The other thing I don't know how to do quite yet is making custom materials go into the game. Like if I wanted to put a different color on these ears, I'm not quite sure how you do that yet. So if you do figure that out, please post it in the Discord so we can all learn together. But that is how you do this stuff. I'll drop the links to the different pieces of software in the description. Yep. That's how you cat ears.